After the release of Windows 365 Boot and Switch, we now have some new in preview features which look to improve the end user experience even more. If you haven't seen Boot and Switch functionality, take a look at my previous video on this and it will show you how to get up and running. So let's jump in and have a look at these new features. So the first thing I want to go through here is I've hopped over to the what's new in Windows, and you'll see from the week of January 8th, 2024, service release 23.12, there's some additional features under Windows 365 Boot. Now there's 4 here, but what I'm going to concentrate on is the boot sign-in page customization, which is in preview, and the boot device modes. You've now got shared and dedicated. So those are the 2 I'm going to concentrate on. But obviously be aware that there are a couple more. You've got the PC settings through Windows 365 Boot, and you've got the boot fail fast notifications. So come into my Intune admin center here. This is where we're going to do all the configuration. And where you need to go to is you select devices and then go down the page under provision, you'll see Windows 365. Now, hopefully, if you haven't seen my previous videos, go ahead and do that. And there's some further explanation here. And typically we went through the guides here for Windows 365 Boot. This is now released. What we're looking at is the public preview features. So I'm going to select that and it will give you some information about what you'll get as part of this guide. I'm not going to explain that again, see my video previously on that. So I'll hit the next and we'll go into the basics pane. And in here, what I want to do firstly is apply a device name template. What I'm going to do is give it a name of Windows 365, say dead for dedicated, and I'm going to give it a random number at the end of that too. Now what this is going to do, this is going to give you your naming template for the device that you actually enroll. In this case, it's your physical device. It's not your actual Windows 365 device. That hopefully has already been provisioned, and you'll need that as a prerequisite before you can deploy this to your physical device. Now the next thing we're going to do is the resource name prefix. What this is, and I'm going to give it the same name, is a prefix to the resources that created. Now if I just scroll down the page, you'll see that you're going to get a number of resources automatically created as part of this guide. You've got the host app there, you've got the app boot, the enrollment status profile, autopilot profile, etc. Now these automatically get created for you. I'm going to skip the description for now, and this is where now under this boot device mode you've got 2 new boot modes, whereas previously we only had 1. So you have the shared PC mode and the dedicated. Now with the shared, this is where you would deploy this policy down to your physical device, which allows multiple users to log on with their own individual cloud PCs. In this case, what I'm going to go for first is dedicated. Now, dedicated mode is where you're going to allocate this specifically to your, say, corporate device that's been allocated to an end user, and it's their specific device. But what they want to do is log into their cloud PC. So as you have it, shared PC or dedicated mode. These are 2 new features that have been added. So I'm going to hit the next. And on this pane, you've got the endpoint update. So we've got the Windows update settings. Now you've got some standard settings already put in the boxes here, and these are for your quality updates, your feature updates. You've got some settings around user experience settings, so basically the active hour start and end, and obviously you've got some deadline settings as well. I'm going to keep these as the default, but just a note here, and that is once this policy, because this creates an update policy for your device, we will go back into that. We'll have a quick look at it, because what we need to do is make a few changes. So I'll hit the next. And on this settings pane, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but you can pick a Wi-Fi profile if you've got one, a language. Now your device will use its default standard language, but I'm going to pick one here just to make sure it picks the right settings. That's the English United Kingdom. And then you've got a connection timeout. Now the connection timeout really is the time it takes for you to log on to your cloud PC. If it goes beyond 5 minutes, then basically it will recycle back to the login page. So we'll leave that as it is and I'll hit the next. So we come to the assignments page, and as per my previous video, you can either create a new group or choose an existing group. Now, typically what I do is I create a new group. The reason for this, it will go ahead and create the resources, and then we can make sure that everything is in place from our device before we allocate or assign that device into that particular group. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new group here. Going to give it a using the same terminology here, Windows 365 dead devices. We'll hit the next. Review all the settings. Now you can obviously change these if you need to. It gives you a summary of all the resources that are going to be created, and then at the bottom you can hit the save button. So we do that and you'll see that update dynamically, and hopefully that will all work successfully as it has for me. Now, if you remember, we did mention about there would be some prerequisites, some things we'd need to adjust according to the updates of the devices. Now, I've popped into the Microsoft Windows 365 website here where we've got some details about boot and switch features in public preview. If I scroll down, you've got the technical requirements, and one of these is that the actual physical device that you're looking to test this on is within the enrolled in the Windows Insider dev channel. Okay, and it gives you the build there, but ultimately basically you need to enroll it into the Windows Insider dev channel and make sure it's up to date. Now, I already have that set up for my own device, but the way you can do that is if you go into the actual device, go into Windows, the Insider program, and then get started, and then what you're going to need to do is sign in with a Microsoft account and select the dev channel. The other way in which you can do it is if you've got devices already in a group that you're going to send these boot features to, you can also configure the existing update policy that's assigned to those devices. So in this blog here, it shows you can go and update it, and you'll need to select the pre-release channel. So if I switch back to the Intune portal here, if you remember, we've created a resource which has got a Windows update policy boot, which is Windows 365 dead public preview. So if I go into my policies and then I'll go into my update rings for Windows 10 and later, I should see that there. So we've got W365 dead. If I go into that there, I can see the settings, go down the page and you'll see the settings there. If I edit those, you've got that option. Okay, so I'm going to enable pre-release builds and I'm going to set that to the dev channel. So this will make sure that if you've got a number of devices already set up and you're pushing this down to the device, it will make sure that those devices have the ability to enroll into the dev channel. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the same process again, but this time I'm going to set up policies specifically for shared devices. So, and the reason I want to do that is because I want to be able to show you the new features available when we go through the enrollment. So I select Windows 365, going to hit the public preview option here, hit the next. I'm not going to go through all the details as I did before. I'm going to select a device name template, call it W365 shared this time, and I'm going to give it a prefix name of W365 shared. We need to make sure that we've got the shared PC mode selected, which we do have there. We hit the next. I'm going to keep these settings the same, make sure that I can pick my language, my region. But this time for the shared mode, we have some new features. Now, let me just zoom out of this slightly so you can see the full screen. And we've got some personalization options. Okay, we can add a company name, right? This is what's going to appear on the login screen. So the improvement here is that it's going to give you familiarization of your corporation, your enterprise, basically, so you can identify, and there's a common theme, whether it's a physical device or whether it's a virtual Windows PC. So we can add the company name in here, and I'll add my company name here, and then I can add the company logo. Now this needs to be a URL which the device will be able to reach, and I've got one on my blog site, so I'm going to put that in here. So that's my URL for the logo, and also we can add a lock screen image as well. So another way of just personalizing this. So I'm going to put my green image here as well, and then we have that put in. So now I'll hit the next. This time on the assignments page, I'm going to create a new group again, but this time it's going to be for shared devices. So I'll go ahead and hit the next. It's going to summarize the settings that I've added, and then I can, at the bottom of the page, I can hit the save button. And there we have the policies created. So all that's left to do really is go through and test this so I can show you all the new features working as they should. So to do that, what I need to do is assign the device to the particular groups. Now, first off, we're going to go through the dedicated device option. So I need to select that group, Windows 365. Let's have a look what we have. Now, it did create two groups, as you can see them here, right? So we've got the Windows 365 dead, if you remember back, and we've got the shared. First off, we're going to go for the dedicated group. So I'm going to add my device that I'm going to test into here. So add a member. There's my device. Let's select and add that in. If I do refresh the screen, it should come through. And there we have it. Before we can go ahead and actually test this though, there is one last thing I need to do, and that is if I go into the deployment profile, I need to make sure that the device I've added to that group is assigned, because it won't pick up the autopilot profile unless I do that. So I go into Windows, I go into Windows Enrollment, Deployment Profiles, and as you can see, I've got a number of profiles here, most of which were testing this beforehand. But if I go into the W365 dead, if you remember, that's the one we created, and look at the signed devices, I should see my device. Yes, it's now been assigned. So I can go ahead and basically what I'm going to show you here is an existing device, but I'm going to wipe it, and it should go through the autopilot enrollment into Intune, and then so you can see the full experience, and then we'll see the features appear. Okay, so I need to pick my Windows device here, and that's the one I've got. I'm going to hit the wipe. Let's wipe that device, and then after this device has come back, I'll come back to the video. Okay, so we've gone through the out-of-box experience here with autopilot on this Windows 11 machine, and we've created a login pin as part of the passwordless authentication. So if I click the screen, what we have here for the dedicated mode is we're showing that the new in preview features gives you a personalized experience with your username and password. You can now see the user's picture on the lock and login screen as you would your physical device, but this is specifically for your cloud PC. Plus your username is remembered, which simplifies the experience, and obviously you can see the pin has appeared here as well. So the authentication through passwordless is also honored, and you get that for your cloud PC login as well. So these are the new features under the dedicated mode. These are in preview at the moment, and they should be coming through in the near future. So for this second demonstration here, we can look at the Windows 365 boot new features in preview for the shared mode. So I've got this device, which is already Windows 11. It's been configured for the in-dev channel as a prerequisite. I'm going to go ahead and restart this existing machine, and we should see the new configuration kick in. So now that we've restarted the machine, we can see some changes appearing. The configuration of Windows 365 boot has been deployed down to this device. We've got a lock screen image that we configured during the wizard, and if I click the screen, I should get the log on, where effectively it's asking me to log on straight to my cloud PC. We've got the logo as well that we configured, and we've got the company name. So remember, this is the experience, a new experience and new features for a shared device on Windows 365 boot. These are new, coming through, they're in preview at the moment, but we should see them release in the near future. So thanks for watching. Hopefully that gave you a quick insight into the new features. Stay tuned to the channel. Please subscribe if you want to see more content, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.